What's an M2 extension? It's the one that happened after M1, okay, and hopefully before M4, because, we haven't quite gotten to multitronics yet. But an M1 extension and M2, it happens to be these are just text files. You're dealing with that right now. I think I showed you the SVG file. Let's go back and edit the SVG file. And you'll notice that we have over here some polygons with B's and F's. Let's change this to change that first polygon. And all right, let's talk specifically about file extensions. And you have had some of you have had challenges with the fact that I created the microcode with the file extension .m2 because you can't just double click on it. It doesn't do anything. And what does M2 stand for? Well, in this case, M2 stands for it was the version right after M1, and hopefully a little bit before we got to M4, which is actually a Star Trek reference. So it's just a text file. Now, there are other kinds of text files. For instance, I have this one we're going to demo with here, and the current version of it looks like this. It's one of our 7-segment displays. And this particular file is a very specific kind of text file. It's one that is, when we look at it, if we cat it, you'll see that it is in this format called XML. Not just that it's in XML, but it actually has all of these other properties associated with this XML. And it also has a document verification format over here, this DTD, which is in fact another kind of an XML file, but it's a text file. I can go and copy this file to the screen. It's text. In fact, I can go and edit this file and say, change one of the colors. The colors are in numbers that are red, green, blue, and hexadecimal. So I've changed whatever this first polygon in here is to green, very bright green. So let's open it. And you'll see I've now made the very top of it green. All right, let's say that we really want that to be blue instead. So it's red, green, blue. And let's take a look at it again in the browser, and we've made blue. So we can look at it that way, but this particular kind of graphics is vector graphics, which means it's infinitely scalable. Vector graphics actually for a lot of stuff turns out to be smaller than a PNG or a GIF or JPEG because it's vectors. And if you have something that's already vectors, not an image of a person or an image of a cat, then this is a smaller way to represent it. And I think you guys have probably seen some other files like this that are vector graphics. For instance, here's one that you might have seen already. And this is all vector graphics until you go down here and you do something like bring up one of these things, which is an HTML piece that overlays the vector graphics. But this is a piece of vector graphics, including all the text is done in structured vector graphics. So you've seen some stuff that's vector graphics. But what is the deal with this being a text file? If I go out here and I do, this is on a Macintosh. If you use the Finder on Windows, you get a similar kind of effect, and we get a listing of the files over here. But let's say that I want to look at a particular file, this SVG, and I'm going to right-click in this case, or control-click on a Mac, and I get a list of things that I can see that are associated that know how to process this. And this happens to be the list that I have created on this system. You'll notice that there are multiple different browsers, including Chrome. There's this tool called Inkscape, which is a structured vector graphics editor. There are things that I have on my computer that aren't associated with this file extension, but that's just SVG. Now, I may want to convert this thing into a image, but I don't want to have to take the time to bring up a GUI to do that. So let's say that I want to have a script, and there is a tool out there. You could install it on your system. It's a command line tool for converting between SVGs and image formats. And I have a little script, but we're going to just copy this command out of it. And send it off to a file. Now, if I edit this new file that I've created, you're going to see something. I'll use the VI editor. I don't recommend you use Notepad++ for this, because it will probably hurl and make it die. Okay? Oh, it's a binary file. It says 89 PNG at the top. Does everyone see that 89 PNG? PNG is an image format, which means if I do this and I go over here and I double click on this PNG that I just created, I know you can't see that, but there is the PNG that gets opened in preview for this. I also can I can view it in other ways, but it's a PNG. It's an image. If I bring it up in the browser, let's bring it up in Chrome. Is Chrome listed there? Nope. If I bring it up in Firefox, okay, in a different browser, and yes, I really do use multiple browsers on my desktop at once, because if I'm testing web pages, I quite often have to go browser to browser to browser to verify that something actually works in a browser. You'll see that in this particular browser, it comes up looking like this. So we can look at this file, we can bring it up, we can poke at it, and you know, that's not too dissimilar from the way it came up looking when I did preview. It's the same sort of thing. How it handles the background is a little bit different, but yeah, we can bring it up in the browser, we can see it. Now, this is not a standard command on most systems, but you can install it, okay? On a Mac, you can use a tool called Brew to install this. And on Windows, there is a thing called Chocolatey that you can install different kinds of command line tools and other useful tools. But you can install this. Now, I'd really like to have that command in a script. And one of those things that the browser provides you with is history. You can see what commands you've already run. Now, I can take the history and send it out to a file. And then I can go edit that file. And it turns out that I am really interested in that line right there. And up here at the top, I put in something special in the file, a hash bang bin bash. We'll get back to what hash bang is and what it does for us, but let's just put it there. And I happen to know about scripts that I can list the parameters on the script with $1, $2, up through whatever number of parameters it is. So I can do this to actually turn this into a script. Now to run the script, I have to do something. I have to make it executable. So chmod +x. So I can build this script. I can then turn around and run it. And I can have whatever's in that script run and pass parameters into it.